also this Big States Association. Um, the NEA, the only in-service that the NEA provided to states was through an organization called the NCSEA, which was an organization of the presidents and the execs of all the NEA affiliates. Well, that organization had some use to the states, but the 12 or 15 big states would have one set of needs, and the smaller states had another set of needs.
Right.
And so that organization really couldn't fulfill the size needs of NEA's affiliates. So if
And the other thing they did was they used it more than half the time talking about NEA's needs instead of the needs of the states.
right,
Which all organizations tend to do.
so we we used to have these what we call the big states meeting, and we had it the weekend before the NFL Super Bowl, and we went to places that we wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And so we'd have, normally we would have one or two of the management staff group areas that there wasn't any really in-service training that the NEA had. The NEA used to have meetings of staff people in different areas. Not geographic areas, but program areas. But they didn't have them for all of the operations. Like they didn't have something about computers. I don't think. And,
No, I don't think so.
and there was some of the big states had more need for computer information than the NEA probably did at the time. And so we'd have those programs, and we'd agree to bring the manager of those programs to this week-long program. Then we'd have some that were general to the exec, and we used to hire some people and come in and put on a program for the execs.
Yeah, we'd have people come in and yeah, we had some of the retired execs come in and talk
Yeah.
about how they worked and what their values were and what they believed was most important. It was useful. It forced us to think and talk about what the job really is. And I tell you the other thing it did. When you were exec of a state organization I had over 200 staff in Pennsylvania, and you probably had over 100 in Wisconsin. It's a kind of a lonely role, you know. You know people, your friends, you got friends that work with you, but at the same time, you're at a job all by yourself, and everything is going to come back to you eventually. And everything a staff does, whatever their job is, you're responsible for in the end. And you go to and you're responsible for the relationship with the leaders. I was not very good at that. I just hated the time I've wasted in meetings sometimes. Spinning, and the people who would come and just want to make speeches and windbag and speak for effect. You know, I hate that, to spend hours for listening to somebody trying to build their own ego by making a speech. And That drove me crazy, but I was not good at it. Morris was good at it. He was a little bit aggressive at times in the way he did it, but he was good at controlling it. I didn't control it so well, and I didn't want to put my energy into it, and that did get me in trouble from time to time.
And if you had an issue like Gene is talking about dealing with leaders, there were some people that were good at it, and some people that it wasn't something they really wanted to do. And so we knew after a while which other state execs had which skill sets. So you could go, if you wanted sometime during the 4 or 5 days to spend a couple times with some person that was really good at something, you could get this. They were of the size that you were, and they would have had that issue, and they would have some similarities that you could talk with them about and get some help. And that was really, I think, very helpful to the different execs over time. And I think that it also allowed the execs to just talk with each other, because everything didn't start at the same time in the same state. So some state would have some problem coming with the local school board association, and so you could get some alertness about a problem ahead of it coming to your state. And doing it once a year, I think, was a time that you could go someplace and get something out of it, that you didn't have to worry about everybody being in the meeting and going back home and talking with people about what you'd said. But I think people, after it got going a couple, 3 times, it was a meeting that people didn't like to miss. Because I think they felt they came away from it with at least 1 or 2 ideas that would have some practical application for them.
And everybody came prepared to talk about a problem that they were experiencing at home, and what do you guys do about this, and how do you handle it?
We also used to have the meeting, I think we started at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and then we'd go to noon, and then in the afternoon we'd do some social things together.
Yeah.
So that we got to know each other a lot better than we ever knew each other before, by having evening times that you could, or afternoon times when you could go schedule with people. Well, and I think that as Gene said, I think one of the things you got out of that I think you could see that if you cared about dealing with the pensions for teachers or their salaries, that there were ways to do it even if you didn't have collective bargaining. And so if you had something you wanted to accomplish, you could talk to some of these people and get some ideas, because there were some of them that had been really successful in states that really tried to prevent them from being able to do it.